it's crazy how old anime is. It came out like Berserk was written in the 80s, right? Oh,
It's pretty fucking old, man.
I bring it up with you because as far as your content goes, like being controversial, anime was actually pretty controversial coming up because when it was adopted by America, it was around like the late 90s. And because it was animated, they automatically thought it was for kids, right? And so they adopted Dragon Ball into like one of the Cartoon Networks. I don't think Cartoon Network, but one of the Cartoon Networks, not knowing that there were scenes where Goku was like straight up checking if Bulma had a dick or not, because they hadn't seen girls before, you know,
smacking her pussy and shit.
And they didn't know that like anime was a way to kind of bypass shit that they couldn't depict in films and kind of put it in animation form. So it's kind of in line with what you're doing, you know what I mean?
You seen how raunchy some of them Looney Tunes episodes used to get? You know what I mean? And then you compare it to like Dragon Ball, like old Dragon Ball. Like on one of the first episodes, fucking Goku used his power pole, extended his power pole all the way to the moon, and then dropped his adversaries off on the moon. They were stranded on the moon. Like that's some Looney Tunes shit. So I mean, like Japan in their own little special way was trying to recreate that. That's what I think. Because if you look at One Piece, old One Piece was super cartoony, like super loony. You know, I could definitely see him like in an episode with like Tom and Jerry or some shit, like, or like fucking the Coyote and the Roadrunner, you know, just running around Luffy and shit like that. So like the way the animation styles back then were a lot more goofy, and you could put like subliminal jokes in there. You know what I'm saying? So, and you know, Japan, they're like overt with their shit. So
yeah, they be over the top sometimes, like not even trying to hide it, almost highlighting it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You think about it this way too, though, that cartoons and animation, it was the only format for hundreds of years, for the last century, basically, that if you wanted to do something crazy, if you wanted to show somebody flying up to the moon and dropping someone off and flying back, you might be able to patch that together with some practical effects and stuff. But for the most part, you were going to be limited to drawing that out and making it look as good as you could. And then once people started trying to make it look realistic, they realized that when you watch something like animation, you've already forfeited all of your expectations of realities. So while you can get it to look kind of realistic, it works just as well if it's just like cell shaded, you know, colors, like bright, colorful anime style that don't have like all the intricate detail and shading and all that. You don't need all of that to convey the message. So after a while, after 100 years of that being the only real medium that you can do all these things, yeah, you've got really adult concepts, because not just kids want to think about dropping people off on the moon or anything, you know, like huge explosions. Or this is my favorite thing about the comic medium, is that if I wanted to make a whole planet explode and then zoom in and show it from all these different angles and then have like a huge tank shooting lasers and stuff, I mean, I would just have an artist, or I would draw all that stuff out. You know, it's not going to take a different budget than if I was drawing a bunch of dudes sitting around in an office building just having a conversation. So again, with anime, comics, and cartoons literally being the only mediums that you could have done those things with until recently,